Close us out! Close us out! A word from our dear sister, Rebecca Lodgepole. Welcome her!
Good afternoon, everybody. That means hello, how are you? Good afternoon. Thank you for coming to my land. I am a Chippewa Cree from the Rocky Boy Reservation in Rocky Boy, Montana. I've lived out here in Massachusetts for 17 years. Living out here has been anything but easy. I have faced discrimination from all levels from every single government in this state. I am the first Native American to ever file a federal lawsuit against the Cambridge Police Department and the City of Cambridge for their gross misconduct for racial discrimination against me for being a Native American woman. I'm standing here today because I want to thank everybody for their acknowledgement of Indigenous Peoples Day. But in order to acknowledge Indigenous Peoples Day, you first must need to acknowledge our pain, our suffering, the genocides that we have faced throughout our whole lives. We are representing the 7th generation for our people. We're here and we're not going anywhere. We have always been here, but we have always been the last person on the totem pole, the last race to ever get any recognition, from our missing and murdered Indigenous women, to our children in boarding schools, to the atrocious murders that are happening today by police officers, shooting Native American men, unarmed men, in the back of the heads, in their backs. I have a brother who was murdered by a police officer unarmed, and he was shot in the back of the head. I have sat there and I have buried plenty of my loved ones because of this genocide that has been laid against us. We are sitting here, we are not even recovered yet. We are trying to pick ourselves up by the bootstraps and our moccasins to be able to make sure that we let everybody know we're still here. We're not going anywhere. Canada talks about Indigenous People Day and a Reconciliation Day. In order for there to be any kind of reconciliation, there must be recognition for all of the atrocities that they have committed against our people. In order for us to start a healing ground, we need to first be acknowledged. This here, showing your support and being here for us today, is the first step to healing. We don't want money. We don't want reparations for money. We want acknowledgement. We want you guys to know what we survived. These books that will not be published by the government or the church. These children, 6,509 children have been found at these boarding schools. 6,509. Say it. 6,509 children. We are here just because they are in the ground in unmarked graves that the church and the governments of both Canada, North America, all of us, Indigenous people from North and South America, we have faced atrocities. The reason why the Mexicans speak Spanish is because of the invasion. The reason why Native Americans speak English is because of the invasion. We didn't stand here. We're here today because our ancestors survived. We have to fight every single day in this country for acknowledgement. For any type of acknowledgement from anybody, we have to stand there and we have to beg. Even today, if you notice, there wasn't that much media coverage. The media has done a blackout on reporting about these Indigenous children in these schools being found. There's a complete media blackout. Nobody's talking about it. Instead, they're too busy talking about the president and his agendas. What about our agendas to be able to bring reconciliation and peace to our people? What about some type of, we don't want reprimandations to be able to say, we paid you off. No, we just want us to be able to say Indigenous People Day is not Columbus Day. We want acknowledgement for our pain and our suffering. We're not standing here today because of pity. We're standing here today because of the strength of our ancestors. Because they fought, they struggled, and they made sure that we made it out alive. We are fighting for the 7th generation. My children, all of our children, that's the 7th generation. We stand here. We don't want to sit there and cry anymore. We want to stand here. We want to fight. We want to make sure that our voices are heard. Because we are not silent and we are not sitting idle no more. And remember, when you go out and you talk to these people and you hear Christopher Columbus Day, no, it's Indigenous Peoples Day. It's our day. People stand here and they look at me and they wonder what this print is on my face. What does it represent?
MMIW.
Missing and murdered Indigenous women. There are so many of us, they can't even keep count. They barely established a database. I have family members who are missing and murdered. I have family members who are still out there. They'd say that they are cut into pieces and scattered around. The FBI doesn't come and find us. Our own governments don't even come and find us. We're sit there and we're stuck looking for our own people. We don't have anybody to help us. The FBI, that's a joke. The CIA, that's an even bigger joke. They invented these governments to suppress us, to make sure that we don't have a voice. But now it's 2021. We're still here, and we're still going to keep our voices heard. I thought about what I was going to say today and how I wanted to say it. But I can't sit there and I can't play out what I'm going to say because everything I say comes from my heart, from experience, from knowing what it is to live on a reservation. It's a third world country in the middle of America. They say that they gave us land. They gave us land that we couldn't even live off of. And they call us savages. But yet they came here. They killed our children. They raped our women. And they murdered our men, cut off their privates, and sent them to their chiefs. These are things that the government does not want to talk about. They don't want to talk about how the Smithsonian Museum has our people's bones. And they will not return our chief's bones. These are things that do not get brought up by the government. These are things that are not talked about. All of these children in unmarked graves, why are they unmarked? Because they didn't want anybody to find them. 6,509 children and counting. That's what we're up to. This is just beginning in May. We just started looking for our children in May. We're not even 8 months into it, not even a whole year. 6,509 and counting. We don't want anybody to sit there and feel sorry for us anymore. We want you guys to stand up and spread the word. Tell people. Because the only way that it's going to get out is word of mouth, because the media has a complete block on us. They will not report on us. They will not report 6,509 children. And they will not report the numerous missing and murdered Indigenous women. It's a media blackout. But guess what? Through it all, we're still here. Yeah. We're still fighting. And we're not going anywhere. This is our home. This is our home. There is nobody that can take that from us. We are Indigenous and we are proud. And we're going to stand here until everything is brought back to us. We want everything back, not reparations. We want everything back, from our missing and murdered to our children in boarding schools to everything that they have done to us. Yes, we want everything back. Everybody that's standing here today, I sit here and I'm so proud. I start crying as we were walking because nobody ever sits there and supports us like this.
We love you.
I sit here and I think about my grandmother being a survivor of boarding schools. The stories that I've heard from numerous survivors. You can even go and read them yourself online. Children being taken away from their families, young girls being raped by priests and impregnated. And as soon as those babies are born, they go and they take them and they throw them in incinerators or in a river, and they would kill them because those are products of their rapes. How would you feel sitting there being ripped away from your family and getting put into a school where these men and these women go during the day and they talk about their vows of celibacy, but at nighttime they come in and pluck little children from their beds to rape them and molest them and do whatever they damn well please with them? This is what happened to Indigenous children. This is what needs to be told. Nobody can sit there and nobody can tell it but us. Because we're the ones that are survivors of our grandmothers and our grandfathers and all the genocides that have been put against us. When you hear these stories, it hurts you. Seeing my grandmother with bruises and scars all over her body from what they did to her as a 5-year-old child for speaking her own language. We couldn't speak our own language. We couldn't wear our own clothes. We couldn't even have our hair long. It was cut off. It was stripped off, and our tongues were cut off. They said, kill the Indian, save the man. That's what they said to us. We were not uncivilized. We have, and still do to this day, we have nations. We were more colonized than any nations. That's why we were here for thousands of years. We lived off of this land. We didn't take from it more than we needed. That's how come this land was so well preserved when colonizers came here. We didn't sit there, we didn't try to make one person worse than the other. We worked with everybody. We didn't think about money, we didn't have taxes. No, we just wanted to make sure everybody was fed and taken care of. Clothes on their backs. That's the type of nations we were. We were not a greedy nation. Never were and never will be. But right now, yes, we're greedy because we want to be able to get recognition. In order for there to be any reconciliation, the government needs to recognize everything that they have done. And I don't want to sit there and I don't want to make anybody cry or jerk tears out or anything like that. But to understand where we come from, to have that feeling of the pain that we face every single day of being a Native American in America. It's not easy. We are the most, we lead the most locked up in federal prisons. We are the most murdered by police. They don't tell these statistics to nobody because they don't want us, the original people, to say that we are suffering from what this nation has done to us. And no, we don't want anybody to feel sorry for us. Just go out and talk about it. Spread the word. Let everybody know what's happening. There are plenty of different social media platforms that everybody uses. Go and look. Do your own research. Find out what we're going through. Then we can all come to a reconciliation, and we can actually come to some type of heartfelt sorry at the end of the day, because we just need support. We need recognition, not reconciliation. We're not there yet. We will be. We will be. That's what we're working towards. We're working towards reconciliation. Recognition first. That's what I have to say. No reconciliation until there's recognition. Woo! You know, when we sit here and we talk about our past histories and what we survived, it's nothing that anybody should ever have to sit there and say. Nobody should ever have to sit there and say they've watched their brother get buried because he was shot in the back of the head, unarmed by a cop. Nobody should ever have to say that they can't find their sister because the cops won't go and they won't do the work. Nobody should sit there, no native should sit there on their own land and be starved. And that's what we were. All of these centuries, we've been starved, not just of food, but of recognition. That's what we've been starved of. Finally, today we're able to stand here proud in front of all of you. And it gives me so much pride to see everybody that came out here. It makes my heart feel whole. Thank you guys for giving me joy, finally. You know, it takes a lot. When you want people to sit there and listen, and they never listen, and then finally today I see everybody is listening, it brings joy to my heart. Because every single one of you can reach out to anywhere from 10 to 100 people to let them know. You know, it's mouth of word now because the media will not. They won't. They refuse to report on us. We're the only ones that they won't report on because guess what? If they give us that power, we'll become more powerful than them. And they don't want that. They don't want to sit there and give us any kind of recognition because if we're recognized, more people will come. Because there are more people out here nowadays that have heart, that want to reconcile with us, that want to recognize what we went through. So in order for us to find any type of reconciliation, here's the start of our recognition issue, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
We're gonna just have a quick moment of silence. Matoni, can you join me up here? And we'll do thank yous afterwards. But just bear with me for a moment of silence.